Welcome back, movie lovers. You wouldn't think that subjects like testicular cancer and sex addiction could be used to generate anything except the most cheaply amusing laughter. And hooking up would confirm your accuracy. Darla, a white female sex columnist for an Atlanta-based magazine, is shown meeting a man in his office in a high school or university building as the film commences. She encounters Bailey, a tall black man, as she leaves the office, enters a hallway, and begins to smoke a cigarette. Darla ignores Bailey's reminder that there have been no smoking regulations for buildings for 10 years. She shows no interest in his attempts to start a conversation. Bailey, a 30-year-old testicular cancer survivor, is on his way to his support group meeting with other cancer survivors. Darla attends her court-mandated sex addiction support group meeting in the meanwhile. When she arrives, she makes an attempt to flirt with one of the older men there while ignoring a black woman who is upset by Darla's actions. The person leading the group session is none other than the man Darla had just had sex with in his office. This development only serves to increase Darla's skepticism and hostility towards sex addiction therapy. She asks him to falsely attest to her attendance at the session on her court paperwork, but he refuses. More sarcastic remarks are made by Darla before she abruptly departs. It soon becomes clear that Darla, who is incessantly annoying to almost everyone, writes sex columns for a glitzy magazine. After being fired by her irate editor for having sex with an intern while working, Darla devises a plan to tour the nation, visiting all the places where she had sex in the past and recreating those experiences for a blog called Sex Drive. She persuades Bailey, who has recently received news that his cancer has returned and will force him to lose his other testicle, that she needs a partner. In addition to the potential for endless sex, his other aim is to get back in touch with his ex-girlfriend and use Bailey to make her jealous enough to want to get back together with him. Bailey consents, but only if they travel to Dallas, where he wants to see Elizabeth again. Bailey is unaware that Darla has convinced Tanya, her old editor, to allow her to publish a daily blog about the journey. The couple's first awkward tryst takes place in an airport lavatory, and despite the performers' frantic physical gymnastics, the scene does not end in comedy. Darla and Bailey develop a close relationship as they travel the country, having trysts while following a map of her sexual history. She blogs about each encounter and he covertly Instagrams their journey. Bailey starts to think twice about having the procedure once Darla learns about his love of painting. They break into a residence that Darla doesn't want to go back to, and there she confesses to having slept with a man she knew was married. His wife saw them, drove off, and was later paralyzed in a car accident. Darla is consoled by a compassionate Bailey as she struggles with remorse. Darla is compelled to assume the identity of Bailey's girlfriend in Dallas in order to meet his parents, who are unappreciative of his work and whose mother, Cindy, wants to reconnect him with Elizabeth. Bailey and Darla enjoy a passionate night together, including their first kiss, after sneaking into Elizabeth's young girl's bedroom to reenact losing his virginity. He finds her blog before they go to Elizabeth's parents' house for a party, when Elizabeth unintentionally makes Bailey's posts about Darla being his girlfriend. He accuses Darla of using him for her blog, insulting her writing and past relationships, and Darla confronts him for using her to make Elizabeth envious. In front of Elizabeth and his family, she humiliates him by telling the truth before storming off. Bailey and Elizabeth reconnect, and he shares his new diagnosis with her. She angers him by telling their parents about his diagnosis as they are ready to leave for Atlanta. After having sex with a man she met at a pub, Darla yells at him to leave. When Darla visits her mother Betty, who has similar destructive tendencies, she faces difficulties finishing her blog article. When she sees Bailey's drawings on their map, she is moved, but her mother refuses her attempt to bring up addiction. Once in Atlanta, Bailey and Elizabeth choose to split ways peacefully after realizing they have outgrown their relationship. Bailey is just beginning to express his admiration for Darla when she comes at his support group. Darla reconciles with her mother, who fixes her automobile. They get back together, he has his second orchiectomy, and she agrees to get help for her sex addiction. As they agreed to support one another through their rehabilitation, Bailey gets work as an illustrator, while Darla accepts an advance to write her own book after being offered her old position back due to the popularity of her blog. They decide to go on a date after a year, when Bailey's cancer has been successfully treated and Darla has had a successful year since her recovery. The majority of Hooking Up's first half's enjoyment and promise comes from Snow's very excellent comedic performance. She has a wonderful talent for cutting, scathing remarks that hit the spot and generate a few hearty chuckles. The story only works with a strong female protagonist, and Bailey, played by Richardson, is the ideal counterpoint to Darla's independence. In a scene about a one-night stand that tore a marriage apart, she even gives her character a sense of depth. But because it's the finest, The movie follows the path of every other rom-com since Richard Gere scaled a stairway to meet Julia Roberts. The plot then turns to the standard device of inducing tension that compels both parties to evaluate their relationship, lazily, I might add. To compare what one of them missed or wished they had, the third person in the love triangle enters the scene. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See ya.